through a live stream. I am somewhat still experimenting with this, so I hope that everything goes well. But the goal here is going to be to help you just get started mapping out your ideal American client. In the US, we say the riches is in the niches. And Americans tend to prefer specialists over generalists. At least that's the ones they're going to pay a lot more money for. And one of the ways to start going in that direction is to get just absolute clarity on who is my ideal American client and what are their problems and how do I get inside their head. Now, before you actually start getting American clients, sometimes this can be a little difficult because you don't have anyone to actually talk to and interview. So, what we're going to do today, I'm going to take you through some ChatGPT prompts that I have been experimenting with some of the members of my Transatlantic Entrepreneur Accelerator, and I'm going to take you through how you can use ChatGPT to start getting directionally right in the head of your ideal American client, understanding them so you can feel much more confident going out and contacting these people and starting those conversations and getting that going. But we all know that sometimes just knowing who we're looking for can be one of the hardest things. I mean, I know in my business, I've done this exercise probably a billion times, and we keep coming back to it, but it is important to keep thinking about who are we actually talking to, what are their problems. And so today I want to help you get some clarity on how to do that when you might not have your real American clients to talk to. All right, so we have a document here. I'll just introduce you. You see ChatGPT, our good old friend. And over here, I'm looking at my other screen, by the way. We have our list of prompts. So we're going to have a first step where we're really going to just identify who exactly is our ideal client, what is our best, most profitable, most fastest results niche in the American market. Then we're going to really get into the head of our American ideal client. And then down here at the bottom, I've provided some sample prompts that are already completed. One for a tech founder, one for like a coach and consultant. And we're actually going to be using these for this exercise because they are already filled in. So I prepared this a little in advance here. So the first thing we're going to do is just define your US ideal client. So imagine I'm a coach and consultant for mindset and performance coaching. All right, so we're going to just take this first prompt. We are going to put it into ChatGPT and we're going to see what happens. I mean, I admit that I created these specific prompts for these example profiles. I haven't actually tested them, so I'm a little nervous about what's going to come back, but that's okay. That's part of the whole live thing. And I mean, it shows that, yeah, we're going to see what happens because this will also show you how you can tweak your prompts a little bit if you're not super satisfied with the answers that it gives. So we're going to work through this together. We're going to see what comes out at the end, but the goal is that by the end, you've got the prompts that you need to really get a much clearer vision on who your ideal American client is. And if you want access to the document with these prompts, just put it in the comments. Put prompt in the comment. I don't know, and or just let me know, and I will send you the link to this document. All right, so we've got industry focus, entrepreneur, startups, key decision. Okay, this is a lot of information. I feel like. Okay, and it's still going. So we're gonna ask it to narrow that down, maybe to like the most low hanging fruit, meaning who are going to be the clients that would be the fastest to, take action on what I'm offering, or they would be the easiest ones for me to actually get in contact with. All right, so that's a little long. Before I go directly into prompt two, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. That's a lot of information. Um, can you narrow it down to only the most important information and let's say focus on clients' uh, profiles that would be low hanging fruit for me as a European entrepreneur trying to get American clients. All right, and let's see what happens here. And hopefully this is going to narrow that down a little for us. Okay. Okay, so that does narrow it down quite a bit. And again, the idea here is not necessarily by the end of this exercise, it doesn't mean that this will create like your Bible of who is your client, but it's going to help you get a lot of clarity so that you can start going out on LinkedIn and finding these real people and actually start getting into conversations with them and then start basing your ideal client on real people. Okay, so we've got a lot of information here. This looks very interesting. All right, let's just go in right into prompt number 2. Based on my expertise, help me refine my niche. So we're going to refine even further to get this niche. And we're going to ask it to identify 5 highly specific niche markets that we could focus on. All right, so we could focus on people. If here you are a European coach. You could focus on other European entrepreneurs expanding to the US. This could be interesting. It could be like European entrepreneurs who are already in the US, actually. Could be an interesting niche. VC backed startups, okay. 7-figure agency owners, high performing sales leaders, revenue executives. All right. And then it gives you some ideas of which one could be best, easiest to start with, most highest ROI, most scalable, etc. All right, so we just have some ideas. We're going to pick one of these just because the prompt asks, prompt number 3 is going to be about describing this ideal client in a narrative. I'm going to pick, I don't know, startups, founders, and tech CEOs. All right, because they are the most scalable. All right, so I'm just going to say, let's work with, all right. And then I'm going to come over here and copy prompt number 3. Now, prompt number 3 is all about sort of creating that client persona as a narrative, simply so that it's kind of easier to maybe remember, to visualize, etc. All right, so he gives us a name and all of this stuff. His I like that metaphor of the pressure cooker. And so it's talking about this guy, your typical ideal client persona, Alex, all about his life, how stressful it is, his biggest struggles that you as a coach would be able to solve, what success might look like for Alex, and also why, what objections Alex might have to your services versus why he might say yes immediately. So this is interesting. This is stuff that you can start using when you're starting to work on your content strategy. And actually, every one of those objections and why he would say yes immediately could become its own little post. So there you have like 2 weeks of content right there. All right, so let's see, winning message. Okay. Next steps, how to attract more people like this. Right, it gives you some ideas. That's great. All right, but we are not working on LinkedIn strategy right now. We're working on really getting, nailing our niche, let's say. So we're going to now clarify what Alex, our ideal client here, is already buying. Who are my ideal clients hire? So I'm going to replace who are my ideal clients. Who are my clients like Alex Carter already hiring or buying from to solve their problem? And what does this tell me about the way they like to buy? So now we're really trying to get inside their head. And what is their kind of buyer psychology? Okay, this is interesting as well because it's also giving you references that your American clients might actually be familiar with that maybe you're not yet familiar with. So this could also be some things that you want to go and check out for yourself if they're in your industry. Okay, so it's giving you a lot of information here about what he's looking for, who he might be looking at in order to solve specific problems related to all of those problems that you can help him with. So you may actually want to, if you want to niche down even further, you could pick one of these like um, scaling frameworks, therapy, mindfulness, stress management, depending on what your specific expertise is or the expertise that you want to move into as you're going into the American market. All right, how to position yourself. Okay, gives you some tips on how to position yourself. All right, next steps, building your offer and outreach. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to look at how you can differentiate yourself from the competition. And I'm actually going to copy the title here. All right. All right, differentiate based on what I can offer. How can I position myself? And then okay. And I feel like ChatGPT is giving us a lot of information, almost maybe too much to work with. So I'm gonna just add keep it short, concise, and manageable. I don't want to be overwhelmed with information. I want your advice to be concrete and concise, which we repeated, but you know what? I don't think ChatGPT cares if we repeat ourselves. All right. All right. And then it's just going to give here. This is interesting because it gives us almost even some language that you could start using for building up your brand. The founder to CEO mindset shift. It's not just coaching, it's an executive upgrade. I mean, that could almost be a tagline. Data driven, no BS approach. Science meets execution. Very interesting if you have any kind of background in neuroscience, mental performance, and that kind of thing. And the international edge, if you are working with that type of audience. I feel like this one is less relevant, so we're just going to ignore that for now. But here it gives you some ways that you can differentiate yourself. And if these are not specifically related to you, just go back and refine that and say, you know what, I like the data driven thing, but I'm not a neuroscientist. How can we refine that for my profile? I have, certifications, expertise, qualifications in, and then you can just say whatever that is. Right. So let's just let's try to understand the buying decision or the decision making process here. All right. How do they make decisions? What steps do they go through before saying yes? Key factors that influence. Again, make your answer manageable and concise. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about they realize they have a problem. All right. Key influence of thought leadership. That's interesting. So they want to they want to see you putting yourself out there as a thought leader in your industry because this type of client needs to see you talking about their exact struggles in a way that clicks in their mind. That's interesting. um, Consideration, they start exploring solutions. So they're going to, after they're aware of the problem, they're going to start looking for these different types of things. And it gives you how you can influence their buying decisions. So social proof, credibility, Um, they're going to be evaluated. So these are typical steps of making a buyer's decision. But what's really interesting is that they give you how you can really influence the buyer decision for this type of client specifically. And so that can give you things that you'll want to work on to build up your assets to be present and to stand out in the American market with this specific type of client. And already, I feel like if you're able to start working on that, you're going to start seeing more traction faster. And when you're going to start reaching out to people, they're going to go and see what you're doing, and you're going to get a higher response rate for that. Okay, so we've gotten inside our head. We understand their buying decision, what we need to do to differentiate ourselves from the competition, what kind of solutions they're already buying, so that maybe we can also go and do a little bit of competitor research. And now that we've got all of that, we're going to really work on getting inside the head. So, what are their problems? What are the things that they really want deep down? So, this is step 2. I'm just going to make that kind of a different color so you can see that. There we go. Right. So, we're going to come up with 20 pains, payoffs, benefits, and solutions that this our ideal American client here, Alex Carter, wants. All right, so my name is, you're going to put your name here. I'm not going to put my name here because I don't want it to come up with stuff for my business. I'm just going to delete that actually, because I don't want it to find information about someone else. So I run a business. All right. And I'm going to say now we will work on getting inside this client persona's head. Starting with the main pains and gains. All right. Okay. Let's see what, all right. And I'm asking it to come up with at least 20 pains, payoffs, benefits, and or solutions in a table. Just because I feel like that makes it easy to see. But if you want a list, you can just change that and say, please display it in the form of a list. All right. And it's going to be analyzing. I'm going to take a water break while it's doing that. All right, what do we have? Pain points, desired payoffs, and it's given us a full table here that you can go and look at. And now the reason that I've asked for 20 here is because some of them are not going to be relevant and some of them are not going to be particularly interesting or, relevant to you and to what you do. But if we ask for 20, that means that we can probably at least get 10 really good ones. So feel free to select the best ones. All right. And now we're going to really dive in. And we're going to ask it for a list of 99 problems that this ideal client has in their business. I've asked it to exclude. Here I've put, for an example, financial, legal, or technical challenges, because if I am like a mindset coach, I can't help them with their, I don't know, implementing a payment system, for example. So you may want to tell it to exclude specific aspects of difficulties that your ideal client is facing in the goal that they want to get, and only focus on things that you are able to help them with in your expertise. So let's just see what it comes up with. And this is going to be a massively long list, like 99 problems list. But then after it does that, we're not really going to do too much with that list of 99 problems by itself because it is such a lot of data. It can be interesting if you're looking for topics on, for LinkedIn posts, YouTube videos, podcast topics. I mean, this could technically become a list of 99 topics that you could address. But what we're going to do in the next step is ask ChatGPT to analyze those 99 problems and to pull them out into categories and to identify the three dominant problems of your ideal target client. Because then, once we know those, we can reference them a lot in our content, in our messaging, etc. All right, it's putting these into a table. I would have preferred not in a table, but it is what it is. And like I said, we're not really going to do too much with this result all by itself, but I am going to come back over to my document and just refine that and say, please put these as a list, not a table. And again, if you prefer the table, keep the table. All right, let's just see if it's gotten our 99 problems. All right, so it has gotten the 99 problems. Now, right now, if you had time, you could go through them. I'm not even going to go through them specifically right now. I'm just going to say that a lot of these kind of look the same, and I want ChatGPT to cluster them into three categories of dominant pains. All right, and let's see what it comes up with. Decision fatigue and self-doubt, okay? Imposter syndrome and fear of failure. And then you can see it's going into their pain point. It's looking at what is the source? Oh, so where does this pain come from? What are the costs of this pain? And cost can be financial, but it can also be emotional. It could be time cost, etc., and the consequences. So if they do not solve this problem of decision fatigue and self-doubt, what will be the ultimate consequences on them? And this is all stuff that if you are, like in this example, a mindset coach, I believe, mindset and performance coach, these are things that you could start writing about, that you can start talking about, that you can reach out to your American clients, like, that are like this guy, Alex Carter, and just, start talking about these things and asking about these things and start to see what resonates and what falls flat. Because, like I said, this is not meant to replace the interviews and the discussions that you're having with real ideal client personas. But it's just there to help you get the ball rolling, get started, and stop procrastinating of, I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't know what they are. I don't know who they are. This gets that momentum going, because if you're just waiting, it's never going to be the right time. So that's what I wanted you to do, is just get that momentum going. All right, so it's come up with our three dominant pains. Burnout and mental exhaustion. Yep. All right. Sounds good. Your coaching is the fix. It is the solution to that. But right now we're just going to go down to the dominant gains. So what we're doing here is actually building up. We know who our ideal client is in the US. We have gotten a little bit inside their head and who they are and their persona. We know what they're struggling with, their three dominant pains, and we want to now put on the other side, what are the gains that they want? And I'm going to hit go so it can reflect. So what are their dominant gains that they want to have? And the idea here is that your pains and your gains, they mirror each other. By eliminating the pain of decision fatigue, for example, we create that gain of confident, decisive leadership. They trust themselves, they make smart moves fast. That pain of imposter syndrome, by eliminating that pain, we create the gain of unshakable authority and presence, where they own their success and they command respect. And sustainable high performance. I can't remember what that third pain was, but it should. Burnout and mental exhaustion. So we avoid burnout and mental exhaustion, and we create the gain of sustainable high performance. And again, it's all right, just positioning your coaches as the path. All right, that's great. But what we want to do now is actually create some tension between the pains that they're feeling now, the gains that they want, and the stuff in the middle that's blocking them from getting over to their gains. So we want to be able to identify these obstacles, um, mistakes that they're making, misconceptions, false beliefs that they have, so that we can again start addressing them and start showing that even though we are, or you are, a European entrepreneur and you're going into the American market, you totally understand the struggles, the obstacles, the mistakes, the misconceptions that they are making. All right, so it's going to list out how many did I list. I didn't give it a precise number to list, so we'll see how many it gets, but I think we can already see that there are some very interesting mistakes, obstacles. These are things that are blocking their path to that gain, mistakes that they are making, perhaps. All right, it's given us 6. That's already something that you can work with to start talking about this, start creating content around it, and just showing these American clients that, yes, you are an outsider, you're a foreign entrepreneur, but you get them. And that's what's going to be the most important thing. All right. Now we're going to get into some really interesting marketing stuff. So we're actually going a little beyond just identifying who our niche and who our target client is and getting inside their head. We're actually going to start here at the end building up, what's going to make you stand out? What's going to make you memorable and unique in the American market? Very often that means having something that is unique to you, because you are not the only person who's doing what you're doing. Um, if you are, that means there's probably not a market. And even if there's someone who's not doing something exactly like you, there's still probably lots of people out there doing things that solve the same problem that you solve. So we're going to start working on how do we make ourselves memorable and how do we make ourselves stand out for our American clients in a market that is very busy, very saturated, very noisy, very crowded, and very competitive. All right, I don't know why it's putting things in tables now, but you just might want to specify that. I'm going to actually say, don't put it in a table, put it in a list. Just because I feel like the tables in ChatGPT are harder to work with. All right, so what we're doing here is sort of creating, like, if you wanted to create your own little method, your own ecosystem of value, your ecosystem of content by putting a name on it. So, like for mine, it's the transatlantic entrepreneur. It's this idea of helping European entrepreneurs become leaders and stand out on both sides of the Atlantic in Europe, but also in the US, and being able to come back and exert a positive influence and be inspirational on both sides of the Atlantic. But we've got a lot of suggestions here. And then you just go through that list and maybe find one that you really like or some that you want to experiment with and see which one resonates. I'm just going to pick one. Let's just go with, I don't know, the confident CEO because it's number one. Um, I like stress-free CEO. Because I feel like if you're a CEO, maybe you already have probably some confidence in yourself. You might face imposter syndrome and all of that. If you are a CEO, though, you are probably very definitely stressed. So let's just tell ChatGPT that we will choose that one. Let's go with the stress-free CEO. And now I want to create a set of principles. So this is going to make my method, very unique. It's going to be something that no one else can offer. Everyone can offer coaching to CEOs to help them reduce their stress, but we want to make it unique. We want to make it something that they can only get with us. And so we're going to ask it to create a set of principles on how your ideal customer can bridge that gap from the pains that we worked on over to the gains that we identified. And then I've just given it 2 examples. I've given it my own examples, of course, because I know them. and a very famous one, Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, who did this um, and just codified what are those habits and what are those principles. I've asked it to give me 7 to choose from, again, because not all of them may be good. You might not like all of them. You might like all of them. And in that case, you can use all 7, just like Stephen Covey has 7 habits of highly effective people. I have 5 principles in my method just because I thought 5 was sufficient. That's all we needed. And here it goes. It just gives you those 7 principles that you can already start working with. So, I mean, already with just this series of prompts, you should already have a lot more clarity on the mindset and how your American, first of all, who your American client is, how they make buying decisions, what their problems are, how you can talk about those problems, what are their dominant pains, what are the things that they want to get. So we're doing a little bit of buyer psychology and how to create that tension and then show up with a solution that no one else has. So, like I said, this is not something that you do it in ChatGPT and everything is done for your business for the US market, but it just gets that momentum going and it gets the ball rolling so that you can stop saying, I just need to get my thought leadership in place first. I just need to get my LinkedIn strategy in place first. And you can start and you can go out there. And now you're directionally correct. Start testing it on the market with real people because that is where you are going to make the fastest and the most progress. And this is something that we do in our transatlantic Entrepreneur Accelerator. If you want to know more about this program, let me know. Like I said, if you want the document so that you can copy and paste and adapt these prompts to your own business and you can go and play with this, just let me know in the comments. I can send it to you. And now I want you to go out and start working on identifying who is your American ideal client. Like I said, this works for, people like coaches, consultants, B2B services and agencies, founders of startups, tech or not. Actually, I just put tech as an example. But it really doesn't matter what you're offering. This is going to work for you if you're trying to go into the American market and you want to get some absolute clarity already on who is your low hanging fruit in the US market, getting inside their minds, knowing their problems, what they want to achieve, and how you can help them to achieve it. And that's it. That is a very long live session. I hope it was interesting. Like I said, if you want the prompts, just let me know in the comments. I will send them over to you in a DM. And otherwise, have fun with this. I think this is fun. Like I loved building up these prompts and experimenting with them. And so yeah, go out, have fun, and conquer the US market. I don't know. That's a weird attempt at like an inspirational message. Have fun with it. Go out there and yeah, just do it. Nike.